Let me know if you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir, sure.
So let's quickly get started. I'll just take you through the agenda first. So we'll be quickly talking about why PM, then what does a PM do uh, in comparison to other roles, as for example, a guesstimate, a product design exercise, a product improvement exercise, and then finally we will talk about what is the prep strategy that you can take up for the next 2 months, and finally I'll open the floor for Q&A. So moving on to the next slide, why PM? Any thoughts you can answer in the chat? Any thoughts you have on why should you go into PM role? Okay, so if I have to talk about it, it's a fast growing career path which is at the intersection of tech, business, and design. You're not relied on one specific department of the firm, you work across it, kind of a mini CEO of that product itself. You also get opportunity to own products from idea to launch and to then look at impact as well. And the third thing is because of the problem solving mindset of IITians, it's a great fit for them. Now, moving on to what we do, what is PM? It is mostly about how, it's more specifically about what and why. And it is a bridge between different departments in the firm: engineering, design, business, and users. Uh, few of the key skills that you require for this role would be to have structured thinking. Structured thinking will be something that we'll be discussing throughout this session on how you can build it and how you can show it during your interviews. Second major important thing a PM used to supposed to have is customer empathy. So if I have to give you an example of customer empathy, so you would have written mails and added a word attached to it. What happens in most of the new age uh, email boxes is it doesn't let you send it. It asks you again that should I send it or not. The product has a customer empathy specifying that you have written a attached word and you might forget adding a file, so that's how you design it accordingly. Then other important key skill that you have to have is prioritization and decision making, because different departments are looking forward to your decision and how you prioritize things across. And because you have to work across multiple teams, you have to have very good communication skills. Now moving on to comparison between different roles which you usually work with, which are engineering and design. So engineer usually focuses on building the how of it. Designer usually focuses on shaping up the experience, and PM is the one who decides what and why, and this is how it eventually works out between these three roles. Now talking specifically about PM interview rounds. So there's a resume screening that happens through the first round. I think there was a session last week. Anirudh would have talked about this. Today we'll be talking more about product sense and design. It has three categories: product design, product improvement, and root cause analysis. The other important thing that you have to have is good estimation and analytic skills, which is kind of tested through guesstimates and aptitude round. And the last one is because you have to work through with multiple teams, you have to have teamwork and leadership skills. So if I talk about a product designer's day to day, what my usual job is, either I am working on designing a new product which comes as a part of product design. I'm working on improving the existing products that we have, product improvement. And if something has gone wrong in actually already existing products, we work on root cause analysis. You have to have good analytic skill to understand that things are going the way that you want them to, and because you have to work I have to work across multiple teams, need to have good teamwork skills as well. So let's start with a guesstimate. The guesstimate is how many food delivery orders, Swiggy plus Zomato, are placed in Guwahati on typical weekday. So you can try this guesstimate for next 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll look at the approach of how to solve it. You can even give me an approach in chat section if you want. Just give it a try for next 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, let's look at a simple solution of how you will approach it. So let's say population of Guwahati is around 12 lakh. You estimate the number of adults out of it, which is around 70%. So that comes out to be around 840K. Then we look at smartphone and UPI penetration because that would be the use case of somebody using Zomato and Swiggy. So that becomes the addressable market of around 672K, out of which we can take roughly around 45% of these will be in a month. So that makes of around 300 as monthly active users. And let's say somebody in a month orders around 3.5 times on one of those apps. So that takes you around 10 lakh orders in a month. So then I divide it by 30. So I'll get a per day number, which will be 35K. And on a week, because it is a weekday, and in general weekends would have more orders as compared to weekdays, so I'll reduce it a factor of zero point 0.9. So I'll get a number of 32K. So, what I want to emphasize here is these numbers don't matter much. What matters is how you are approaching it. I've taken a top down approach where I started with a population, a general population number, and then I tried to break it down basis who are the people who can order, then who wants to order, then how many orders they are doing, and then come to that number. Once you get this final number, and what eventually matters in this is the degree of correctness. So let's say current number eventually is 40K. My 32K number works, but if it is 40K, my answer being 5K or 100K won't work. It has to have the same degree there. And the other thing that you can do, because I have got this number from a demand point of view, I can do a supply check on this. So let's say I have got 32K orders per day, and let's say around a rider does 10 orders in a day. So the city requires at least 3200 drivers and riders, and that number makes sense in a population of 12 lakh. Secondly, are there enough restaurant available in the city which can service this? So again, we can look, say that let's say around 40 orders per day happens on a restaurant, and for the top ones, and then it comes down to around 800, which can also be available in a city with population of 12 lakh. So again, I'll say that these numbers are here to give you a sense of how we are approaching it. But when you are doing it in an interview with an interview there, they will also help you coming down to these numbers. But what you have to have is how a structured thinking on how to approach this problem, and you will choose the right similar problem for product design, which talks about how you design an app for campus event discovery. Give it a try for next 5 to 7 minutes, or feel free to write what you feel. How will you approach it in your YouTube chat? And then we'll talk about how I'll approach it as a sample solution. Good question, Shreya. So it involves all the different events that happen on campus. May it be major fests like Techniche, Alcher, different events that happen in departments. It can be seminars, other sessions as well. It as well as sports events as well. You can take all of those in consideration. So, Shreya, the second question that you have asked, that is something you can think of yourself. But do you face issues in general of getting all the info of events? It is kind of scattered as well. Think on those lines. Yeah, Shreya, you're on the right lines. Just think of how you will structure this thought in general. Don't jump to solutions that you have. Just try to approach it first, that how you define what was the right way, that you don't miss out on things, miss out on problems, miss out on different customers that your app might have. So structure it. uh, Solution is something that comes at the last. So we have to first define what could be the problems that you are facing, and it is something that you would be facing in general at IITG. So Shreya, you are thinking on the right lines. Keep continuing with that thought. Also, people on the call, if you have any thoughts regarding this, share it in the chat. This is eventually an interview question that might happen with you in next 2 months. So it makes 2 to 3 months. It might make sense to try solving it now, just to get a sense check on how you're approaching it now and how you'll approach it later, how that difference looks like. And you can just share your thoughts in the chat, and then we'll go through the solution also. Binit, will come to general Q&A at last. I specifically want to talk about this problem for now. If you have any thoughts about that, we'll come to general Q&A at the last, and we'll discuss all the questions that everyone has. Okay. In the meanwhile, I'll move to how a good solution. There is no right or wrong answer in this. What matters is how you approach it. One of the good solutions could be the one I'll show you here. So first thing what matters is, as Shreya mentioned, she clarified what the problem is. Who is the audience for the app that we are trying to build, which are students, faculty, and alumni. What is the scope of this app? It is the chat you could see that the first problem that they face is that they miss events because this info is scattered across multiple social media platforms. There is no centralized platform for this. Again, there can be time clashes happening with multiple events happening at the same time, or the class happening with it. The other thing is there is no easy way to register or set reminders. And as well as from the secondary users, organizers also doesn't have any tools to track attendance or feedback. Okay. So then once you have defined the customer needs or pain points, then you also look at what could be the success metrics for this app that I am trying to build, and few of those I have written down here. And these lists are not exhaustive in nature. They just show few thoughts that I had when I was making this presentation. You can have different thoughts, but uh, what matters is this is the approach that you take. You define problems, You first identify customers, you define problems, and then you have a success metric in mind, that how many people you will be using it, how many registrations can increase. So eventually our purpose is that people can attend more events and get a track of it. So that's why we have success metrics on those lines, that percentage of students using app weekly, percentage increase in registration, average reminders, are they using the app or not for reminder purpose, and how event organizers are using it.
So
Now,
just one thing, your presentation is not visible.
just a second, I'll stop sharing that. Is it visible now?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. So were you able to see the clarify the problem section?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So we have identified customers. Then we have few customer needs that we have defined, that student miss events, there's no central platform for it, there can be clashes, there's no easy way to register or get reminders of an event they might have registered for, as well as on the secondary side, organizers lack tools to get attendance feedback and all those things. Similarly, basis these needs, we have defined success metrics, which are on the lines of how people are people using this app, are they using it for registration, for reminders, and again for secondary users, are they it is becoming, is it becoming easy for them to promote their events with this app, as well as track attendance if they want to. Okay, so now we have defined, clarified the problem, then we have defined who are our users here, then we have defined the pain points, and then we have defined the success metric. Now we'll go on to define solutions basis the possible solutions basis the problems that we have. So these could be the few solutions that comes to mind basis the problems that we have defined. There can be a central event feed, then there can be a smart recommendations basis your interest, department, popularity. For the problem of event clashes between classes and multiple events, there can be a calendar sync to define it. For registration, we can use a one tap registration system, a QR check-in, and there can be other things as well for event promotion, such as social features, which are how many friends of yours are attending, you can share these events. And the next thing is notification and reminders. And the last one is organizer can have multiple tools like posting RSVPs and feedback. So once we have these possible solutions, what we have to importantly do is, we cannot do all of them at once. It's important to take user feedback with a MVP first, with a minimum viable product first, few of the solutions that we'll implement, and then we'll go on to uh, other phases basis the feedback from the user. So if I have to prioritize, I'll simply prioritize central event feed, search and filters, registrations, and reminders. And few of the features I'll keep for phase 2 basis the response I get. It might so happen that the things, uh, the features users are using might be on different lines on what I have already thought. So then it makes a lot of sense to move on. Now, once you have done this, you have to also think of what are the trade offs and challenges that you will see once you have this app in somebody's hand. So, the first thing is adoption. If there's already an app, students have another app, institute app, which they are using, it makes a lot of sense to integrate with that so that you get your audience. The next one is this might because there are lot of events happening, it can lead to spam, and which can lead to users going away from the app. Then you have to have some relevance filters. Again, you cannot do a overload of notifications. It has to have some checks and balances. And again, during fest season, it may happen that your engagement may go down. So you have to look at gamification community. So if I have to revisit, what we tried to do was, in this problem, we tried to define that this is the problem and this is the goal that I am solving for. I identified my customers, my users. I tried to define what the problem they might be facing without it. And then I went on to define success metrics of my app. And then, as next steps, once I have the pain points, I defined solutions that we can look at. And with those solutions, because not all of them uh, will do at one go, so we prioritized few of them. And then I looked at what could be the trade-offs and challenges, and eventually we summarized. So if you sit in an interview in next 3 to 4 months at IIT Guwahati, this is one of the problems that will be asked of you in interviews, and this is how you approach it. People have called it through different frameworks and everything. There's a circle framework that usually people use, but this is what they eventually all of them are doing. It is important that you clarify the problem, because customer is the most important person for you. You define that person, you define problems, you define solutions, you define some success metrics to get to it, and prioritize the solution that we want to go with at the start. So this was one of the problems that might be asked. The other one is about product improvement. So this is a problem for, I think, a lot of you that you can think of. You might be the users for it. So what we want to do is we want to improve LinkedIn for IITG final year students preparing for placements. We have a specific user in mind, and we want to improve a existing product that we have. So I'll give you around 10 minutes for this. You can go ahead in YouTube chat or the session chat itself and talk about how you will approach it. Uh, Please keep your questions, general questions, for the last. We'll discuss about those, all of them. But let's just talk about this problem and how you will approach it. The solution, we can come to solution at the last, but just tell me how you are thinking about it. Okay.
Sir, there have been questions in this meeting chat, if you could just answer.
Sure.
Sir, is it possible that if some people can use their mics to like ask questions to keep it more interactive?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. Just manage it through hand raise or something so that there is no conflict.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we can get started. If anybody has question, just raise your hand.
So, uh, what are the users? Should we segment them based on branch daily, like, or should we focus on the overall batch?
Yeah, so Manya, focus specifically on BTech final year students who are preparing for non-tech roles across any branch or branch. Degree I have specified already, BTech. So that's
Also, sir, like one thing we can do is like make a specific, like uh, mm, something that we can filter kind of for like IITG batch 2025 only on LinkedIn, something like that.
so, Manya, I'll say just it's not important here in any interview as well that you have to give me some solution. Okay, so I have given you who the right, you have asked the first question, right, that who is the right customer, right user for this. I have defined that. Now, what importantly matters is, are you able to define the right problems out of it? Because sometimes what happens is we think of one solution that we might be facing, few of people around us might be facing, but that not be the consensus of everybody around you. So it makes a lot of sense to define first the problems. I think in chat Shubhashri and Tharun has approached it well, I'll say, that they have tried to define what could be the different pain points. Let's, if anybody has any other thoughts, let's try to add in the chat. You can say verbally as well, both of them works. So let's talk about the pain points first. What could be the different pain points as IITG final year student you could be facing, and how LinkedIn can help here?
I guess one pain point would be like there are many alumni from our college that would be working in some specific company that a senior want to get join in like something.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a gap. There's a networking issue. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess this could be a issue.
Yeah, that could be one of the issues, right? Yeah. Okay, so I think we have got some sense of what the problem is. So I'll give you a sample solution. This time what I'll do is I'll define pain point. I'll just do the one section and then I'll invite you to do the next section, what it specifically is, and then we can discuss what the sample solution says. Okay. So, as Manya asked me, what are the right users for it? That is also there, as well as it can be a general thing. It can be anybody, but what LinkedIn is for, that is also matters. LinkedIn has three important purposes: that I can build my professional identity myself. Second one is that I can discover job and internship opportunities, as well as third one is connect with recruiters and alumni. So on those lines only LinkedIn can help us. We have to try to define problems on those lines only. Okay, so and the key users are primary, they are final year students. The secondary could be recruiters who are hiring freshers, because we LinkedIn is a platform, is a marketplace of people meeting. So for jobs, right? So there is a primary user which for whom we are solving. Secondary are the secondary beneficiary of it, and tertiary could be alumni for mentorship and reference. So these are the few pain points that I have identified. I think Tharun and Shubhashri also, as well as Manya, also talked about few of them. So in time, and again, this list is not exhaustive. You can have different thoughts, just that it should be on those in these lines specifically, on the lines that it talks about job and internship opportunities. It talks about alumni referral and connections. It talks about how you build your uh, professional identity, right? So few of those problems could be too many irrelevant job postings. I think Subhashri and Tarun did talk about this. Recruiters also overlook student profiles. Then there is hard to showcase projects and achievements, and also there is no integrated interview prep process. And as Manya talked about this last one specifically, it was about cold alumni outreach has low success. So how we can make this better? Again, what I have done here. Sorry about that. So what I have done is the pain points that I have identified, I tried to break them again into high priority and low priority, just to define what is the quickest solution that we can go ahead with and get some solutions for the problem. We might not be able to solve the problem in entirety, but we might solve the most part of it. So that's why I've given top priority for a connection between recruiters and job seekers, between how you can build your professional identity, and given a low priority of interview prep courses as well as cold alumni outreach. Okay, so once we have defined this problem, let's try to approach for each one of these. You can give me some solutions in the chat, or if you want to give verbally, what would be the solutions that you want to apply for? Let's take a minute or two if you want to give some solutions, and if not, then we'll go ahead with the solution that I have. Okay, good solution, Shreya, Manya. Anybody else? Are only 4 or 5 people applying for non-tech jobs? Is it, or PM role specifically? Okay, good approach, Tharun. Yeah, I'll give it a minute or two if there are any other focus. Okay, good, Shubhashri. Okay, so let's quickly look onto the solution that I have. There's a campus job filter that I propose. I think Manya talked about this, which specifies freshers only job and recruiter filters. We can do a AI driven resume tips and project showcase. I think there was a alumni connect thing also, which is the last one, alumni mentorship feature, and there can be interview prep hub. For this, for starters, we might go with one and two, and on later phases we might up the next two. Now the next part is, as we talked about in the design problem also, there are some trade-offs and challenges that you will face with the solutions and improvements that you have. So few of them could be that recruiters will be resistant to adopt the new filters that you want them to. AI might give you generic advices. Alumni feature can have burnout as well as spam, and because this has some links of prep hub, it will compete with established prep platforms. So in this case, let's say you have these improvements, that you have these trade-offs. So let's talk about, let's take a minute or two, and give me some success metrics basis the, let's say you are building all of the solutions. Let's, what would be the success metrics that you will be looking at to define that whatever you have built is working well or not, and how can you further improve it. So let's take a minute or two. You can share verbally as well as on the chat. What are the few success metrics that we will measure for these these improvements? Or you can define improvement on your side and give me a success metric that you think would be relevant for it. Okay, good try, Tarun. Any other thoughts? Right, share percentage increase in applications, that also makes sense. So about success metrics, right? We try to talk about success metric which is relevant to our solution, and not general, on the sense that is it increasing time spent on LinkedIn. That is not a metric we are trying to move here. We want to improve it for specific set of users. So we won't talk about that general number itself. Right, Devyani. Good try for the the third improvement that we talked about. Okay, let's jump on to what I have. So I think you have talked about most of them already. So percentage of students applying via LinkedIn. I think somebody talked about it. Increase on those lines. Yes. Then recruitment engagement. Then there is a conversion rate. I think Manya talked about this on some lines, that how much time it takes for to get them shortlist. But we won't restrict ourselves to that line, Manya. We'll say how many applications and how many of those get interviews. Then alumni participation in mentorship session, how many alumni are responding to that feature. And then a general NPS. I think somebody talked about NPS as well. Yeah, Tarun did. So NPS is something that we can look into. Okay, so these were the three exercises that I had, and I'll quickly talk about prep strategy that you can go forward to. There are practice resources in general. There are books, blogs, mock interviews. You can also use Chat GPT to give you problems and solve with it. That is also something you can approach. But the major thing I feel is practice. Practice in peer prep groups. So let's say what I was trying to do was enactment of how an interview will happen. Okay, so you can do this enactment between yourselves as well. Let's say Tarun and Manya, one of them is an interviewer, one of them is an interview, and they are discussing a case. It helps you build on the feed thinking, as well as give you some sense of how that day will look like when you have to give interviews. And the second most important thing that I feel is two things that people usually make mistakes in. So what we usually think of is that I have given you a problem. I have not given you a problem. What I have done is I have given you a statement which you have to define problems out of and then go to solutions. Okay. So never ever do this, that given a product problem, you try to define, then you jump to solutions. Sometimes it might happen that the interviewer wants to, this could be solved through general means as well. This could be through solved through AI as well. But a PM's job is most importantly of defining the problem, of a problem which makes sense to solve, which can make the firm money, which might make help them get more customers, on those lines. Yes. No, Shreya, no. In my understanding, no tech-related eligibility for PM role. You are not expected to know how to code or any on those lines. That is not required. What I'm trying to say was, it always helps if you have some understanding when you go for the job. In none of the interview rounds that I had, they asked me a technical question. That has never happened. It was mostly on the lines that we have discussed today.
So I think we're done with
Well
the
done.
questions.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Wishing you all the best for upcoming placements. I think CNA team, you can share my LinkedIn profile with everyone. So if they would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, they can connect. You can ask me questions on LinkedIn as well if you want. And wishing you all the very best for upcoming placements. I hope all of you get a PM job or the job we are looking for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful and engaging session. And from behalf of CNA, we are very grateful for your time today.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And for all the participants, thank you for joining us.